Microsoft's getting a lot of hate for their dumb decisions, and I thought it would be a perfect time to talk about their history so we can see where they came from and how they ended up where they are now. So let's talk about it. Microsoft had developed something called DirectX, and so the team that was behind DirectX pitched to Microsoft that it would be great if they used the ease of coding for PC, but made it for hardware that was a console using the DirectX code. Microsoft didn't like the idea, and Bill Gates thought it was a complete waste, that he wanted to focus their energy just on PC gaming. But little by little, this team chipped away at it, convincing everybody that they should make a DirectX box, eventually shortened to Xbox. In 2001, the original Xbox was launched, and it was incredibly powerful. It was also the first one to include an Ethernet port and to include a hard drive so you could directly save your games onto the hardware, and you could rip CDs onto it as well. In comes the 360, which was impressive to look at because it was a huge leap from the original Xbox, and they got onto the market a year before the PS3 ever did. Almost immediately, people got a red ring of death, and when you got 3 red blinking lights, it meant that you had a problem with your heatsink and the soldering. And it wasn't just a small amount, it was up to 50% of the consoles that were failing. Back then, Microsoft had some guts because they decided they were going to just offer 3 years blanket warranty. It cost them over $1 billion, but it was able to save them. Xbox Live, which was introduced on the original Xbox, now became their mainstay, and now is just part of gaming in general. Xbox was riding high, and they decided they were going to introduce their Xbox One, and everything changed. People expected the most powerful hardware that was out there, and instead we got something that looked like a 1991 VCR. Gamers who had made Xbox successful felt like they were being abandoned by Microsoft because they only wanted to worry about people watching television. But then they announced their pricing, and it was going to be more expensive than the PlayStation 4, and they also told us that it was going to be always online, and you couldn't just share your games because you could only play your game on your console, and people hated it. And for most of the generation, Xbox tried to catch up. With more expensive, inferior hardware, people just weren't interested. By the end of the generation, Microsoft had introduced the Xbox One X, a more powerful Xbox which competed better with the PlayStation 4 Pro. They were set to introduce a powerful console and a more affordable console, both with ray tracing, which was the latest and greatest technology. Then Microsoft went and bought a whole bunch of companies, and PlayStation lost their mind. But Xbox fans thought that this was it. They were going to have a bunch of first-party games that people would want to buy the Xbox for, and Microsoft said that's not what they were doing. Instead, they bought all these companies and put them on multiple platforms, and then even took the exclusives for Xbox and decided they were going to put those on all the platforms as well, losing the Xbox identity. They doubled and tripled down on Game Pass, which is a really great idea where you can pretty much access games on day one and you only pay a monthly fee rather than buying individual games. And that takes us to now, where Microsoft lays off 9,000 employees, many across the Xbox ecosystem. But the sad truth is that Xbox started as the dream that nobody believed in from a small group working for Microsoft, eventually became one of the most powerful consoles that everybody looked up to as the most revolutionary thing in the market, to now being the laughingstock, trying to gaslight everybody into believing that closing companies, canceling games, and not selling consoles means that you're incredibly successful. They're going to be the next Sega, where everybody looks back and remembers how wonderful they were, and they hate the fact that they let their boat sink.